Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may apply to. Yes, it's Boom Boom Kaboom. It's New Fnukum in the room. And I won't take up much of your time today, but I just wanted to say hello to everybody and just tell you how excited I am that we are on the verge, just a little over 24 hours now before the Gaming Fuse podcast goes live. And I'm sure there will be some growing pains, and there will be certain things that as the show progresses, that will have to be fixed, changed, modified, etc. But again, I'm super excited that I have another podcast coming back. Hopefully, this time around, it's to stay, and hopefully, it's probably the last podcast that I have as well. So, if this one doesn't pan out and I can't seem to gain any momentum, then we'll just see where the podcasting kind of thing takes me down the road. But for now, I'm fully committed. Can't wait to get back into it. Super excited to drop the podcast tomorrow night. Dreadpool, how's it going, brother? Good to see you on Good Morning Xbox. Make sure you check out Axel's channel, Axel1324, over on YouTube. For those of you who aren't acquainted, Axel has picked up the mantle and is now the host of Good Morning Xbox and has my full blessing there. Axel's a great guy. And he's doing a great job with that podcast. Kind of sad to see a lot of the other panel members backed out as well, for family time commitments, whatever it is. But yeah, baby, here we are. What is going on? Wicked Hot's in the building. Ice Queen Gaming. Joe Dunmore, your Wicked Hot is here, man. Like Jade the Destroyer, what's going on, guys? I'm not going to keep up. This is an impromptu thing again. I just couldn't contain myself. I had to come on and just let you know how super excited I am to be coming back tomorrow night with the new podcast, The Gaming Fuse. It kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern, that is 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, and I think that's like what, 12 or 1 a.m. I think it is in British time. So so I'm just like I said, guys, I'm super excited. I've got a few ideas for this show, and hopefully with your feedback and your support, the podcast will blossom and certainly grow into something special. I think what I have lined up for the majority of you, you're going to be very happy. At least some of you will be very happy. I've switched a few gears. I know I kind of had people a little bit annoyed or sort of aggravated a while back that I said I was going to kind of sort of focus in and do a PlayStation podcast. But you know what, honestly, being a multi-platform gamer, I think it's better for me just to stick to anything and everything, I guess, as long as the topics are relevant, right? So that is the plan. It'll be a multi-platform podcast. I mean, probably the largest focus probably will be on Xbox, since it's still my main console of choice, and it's a platform that I've loved for years, and super excited to see where the future of Xbox goes. I don't agree with all their directions. I've been there, done that, and said my piece on it. But you know what? It is what it is. The industry's changing, and Nukem is changing. Hopefully for the better. For those of you who didn't know, like I went out and picked up an Xbox Series S. I was pretty hardcore against digital, but honestly, like when I start looking at the convenience of just booting up my console, having my games instantly accessible, most importantly as well, having a digital library that I can access at pretty much any time, all conveniently stored in one nice little package, which is the Series S. I mean, sure, it doesn't have quite the horsepower under the hood, but it's a very capable unit. I'm very happy with mine. It looks amazing in my entertainment console. So I hope everybody's doing well. I can obviously see the people that are in this chat, again, like Ice Queen and Dreadpool and Joe Dunmore, Jay the Destroyer, You're Wicked Hot, people like Doggy Dog 420, Timothy Dixon, Invader Gaming. A lot of you guys have been there since day one. The crowd over at the NLG podcast, with Mike Mullis and company. Shout out to Graphic God and the guys who kind of got me started and rolling. You guys are amazing. I stressed that before. It's funny because a couple weeks ago I got some messages. I think it was through my Twitter, and it was a little bit disturbing, and it's probably just somebody trying to get underneath my skin, but I took it a little bit personal, and because honestly, like, you don't have to like me, and I've never sat here and, like, if you don't like me, you don't need to watch my program, right? Nix, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the building. But I think, like, since I've been in this podcasting game, am I the best podcaster out there? Not in any sense of the imagination. Am I the worst? Not by any sense of the imagination. I like to think, though, that for the most part, I'm relatively knowledgeable, certainly opinionated. That doesn't make my opinions right, but I like to come on and I like to have fun, and I love to talk with the community. And I feel like we are literally having a discussion in these podcasts a lot of the times. And like I said, I've always appreciated every follower I've gotten, but this person attacked me and tried to say that I didn't appreciate my followers and I didn't appreciate my subscriptions and that I'm selfish and that I'm self-centered. He had a lot of very harsh words for me, and I thought, like, boy, like, do you even watch my podcast? Because I've never demanded super chats. I've never requested money. I've always been fair. I've always shouted out the community at every opportunity, right? So yeah. If I could do this time on Sunday, it would be fantastic. But I don't think that's logistically possible. Now you can never say never. Perhaps at some point I figure something out. But Sundays are generally my day off of my work schedule, so a lot of times I'm not really available on Sundays, or I'm busy doing a lot of things. It's the one guaranteed day I have off a week, so that's a big reason I don't really do much on Sundays, or like I want to be playing games. This is just I just wanted to come on and say hello to everybody and just remind you all that tomorrow night, like I said, the Gaming Fuse podcast kicks off. Now, the only disappointing part that I can announce with everybody is I've tried to get some established graphic artists to come on and help me with stuff on my show. I was willing to pay, and I am willing to pay, but unfortunately, everybody I've reached out to has basically left me high and dry. So I've had to kind of put things together sort of last minute. I thought I had somebody lined up. Obviously, I approached um, my original graphic artist, and for whatever reason, I really haven't heard anything from him. So that kind of fell by the wayside. Then I went to another option that was suggested to me through the community and never heard nothing from that person since I sent them the information. Because I'm fine to pay, but I wanted to see at least a sample of where they're going with my graphics before I go and dump 150 or 200 or more on graphics and overlays. So that part of it will be perhaps a little bit disappointing, but with saying that, I think the majority of you can agree that a lot of times we're all there to watch podcasts for the information, or again for the personalities that come out to share their time with us, and not for the fancy intros and all this stuff. I think that's great. It makes your shows look very professional. But with that comes money, and a lot of people that are putting money back in their channel are actually making money at their channel, right? Um, it's a little bit easier to go and dump a couple $100 on have professionally stuff done when you actually have the money to spend. But yeah, and thanks, Dread. I know like the innuendo is great, and with the things I have lined up for this show. So right now, I'm going to confirm a couple things with you. I do have another panel member, and I'm pretty confident that the majority of you will love the panel member I have lined up. Okay? I have tentatively a third panel member, or I guess I should say a second panel member besides myself, lined up, who I will bring in on episode number 2. This person, because we haven't really podcasted in the past or things like that, and I don't really have any background with this particular person, I think it's in our best interest that I have him come on, sort of be a tentative co-panel member, and see if that person likes doing the show, or it might not be his jive, which I think is good, right? There's no pressure then to stay, all that sort of stuff. Dragons TV, look who's in the building. What's going on, my brother? Good to see you. So, so that's where I sit. Looking to go with 3, and then potentially, depending on what's happening from a week-to-week standpoint, I'll probably bring in a guest here and there. And I said this time, I'll probably do a little less reaching out to the community as opposed to hopefully having the community reach out to me. Like I've said, if you want to be on the show, you send me a DM. Maybe there's a great topic. Maybe there's something you just want to get off your chest. Send me a message, and hopefully we can line it up and get you on the show. So, but the couple of things I can guarantee, this is what I'm gunning for. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. So the target is to kind of keep the podcast at 60 to 75 minutes. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, how's that going to work? Other podcasts have tried to be shorter, they end up longer. Well, I'm going to start setting a timer, right? So, basically, so once we start a topic, right? Once we set a topic, we're going to have a timer set for maybe 5 or 10 minutes tops, depending on who's on the show. Obviously, if you got a lot of panel members or you have guests, you may have to narrow it down to 5 minutes. If it's only a couple panel members, we might boost it to 10 minutes. But basically, say your piece, get it in, get it out, get it over with in that length of time. And there's going to be like a buzzer, a bell, or I'm just going to go, that means it's up, time's up, shut your hole. Let's get back at it, but happy to rock out with you anytime, Dragon. You're one of the community's finest, my brother. It is good to see you here. I love the energy. I love what you bring to the community. Certainly a fantastic supporter. And as all of you are that are here right now, the fact that you're here speaks volumes, and I can't appreciate it enough. But like I said, I'm excited to talk about gaming in general, excited to talk about Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever might be relevant. I don't think I'll touch much on PC unless it's major news, because I don't really dabble with it too much. And I've always said, if you're not really invested in the ecosystem, it's kind of hard, which is one of the reasons I kind of stepped away from Good Morning Xbox, because once I sold my Series X, and I was kind of Xboxless outside of the Xbox One, I guess you could say. It was just kind of hard to feel invested in a show if if you're not sort of up on things. That doesn't mean you have to have every single game that comes out. I'm not going to keep up with half of this community in terms of buying stuff day and date. Tempted to buy Diablo come Tuesday. We'll see what happens, but I need a good crew to roll it with. Otherwise, I'm not interested. Those kind of games, to me, like, that's the thing for those games. I love Diablo. I think it's great. I really enjoyed number 3. I never played any of the Diablo games prior to 3, but I really did enjoy 3. But I enjoyed it as long as I had fuck that time around and go acapella. Yeah, that'd be cool, man. Just bring someone onto the panel just so you can hold the timer and be like, yeah, no, you're done, but hey, you're done. Another thing I've had a lot of people asking, so what about Arnold? What about Cletus? What about Safe House? Well, I think it's safe to say that they were staple segments of Gaming After Dark and were a huge part of what made Gaming After Dark one of the favorite podcasts that I've done over the years that people really enjoyed. And I've had a lot of messages since Gaming After Dark ended, like, God, I wish you guys would bring it back, or wish you'd do it. Like I said, Gaming After Dark in itself is done. When Titan and Meg moved away from that podcast, it was tough. Tough to find great guys like that who you have that amazing chemistry with. And that's the thing, like, look, I love all you guys, and 90% of this community I would gladly love to have on a show. But the fact of the matter is, like, Good Morning Xbox, I could have had anyone on for a panel member just because it was a different kind of a feel. But for this particular podcast, I want to have that instant chemistry. I want to have people that you can talk, you can be informative, but I want the charisma, and I need some energy, charisma, the sorts of things. I need people to make sure that when they're listening, they're tuning in and not tuning out. And I am testing, Mr. Clement Aubert. Good to see you here, my brother. Yeah, but it's going to be awesome. Well, no, absolutely, Dragon. We all know that, man. It's like putting together a sports team. If you don't have the right fit, you don't have the chemistry, you don't go to the championships, that sort of thing. And it's no different in podcasting. You can assemble great people. I mean, like I said, most of this community is absolutely dynamite, amazing. I could list off people all day. As a matter of fact, most of the people in this podcast chat are absolutely dynamite and amazing, and they do great things. But I've got people in mind. And that could change over time, right? But in the past, a few times I've kind of took shots in the wind, and sometimes I've really hit the targets, and sometimes I've kind of feel like, I wouldn't say I didn't hit the target, but just it wasn't there, right? It wasn't there, and I've had people tell me that. So, absolutely, I know, man. But yeah, this, like I said, I'm just a reminder. I'm not going to stick around here much longer here. You're going to have to wait till tomorrow night to find out all the information. I hope to see a fantastic turnout in the chat tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to, as the podcast progresses, hopefully maybe before the end of the year to do some major giveaways, something really cool, and we'll go from there. And if you guys do have a graphic artist that I don't want to do the Twitter thing ever again, because as soon as I mentioned graphic artist on Twitter, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I literally had about 100 come after me saying they're willing to do graphics, and I don't just trust anybody because, you know, I know the usual ones, but I said the usual one, the guy who did all my introduction graphics for some weird reason, um, has not gotten back to me, has not said if you'd be willing to do it or given me a price or anything. So I can only do what I can do. If the communication is not there, that's all I can do. But regardless, the show is going to be fantastic with or without a phenomenal intro or not. Like I said, you're going to love the panel. You're going to love, our topics for tomorrow night will probably be a few different things, but most likely we'll probably talk a little bit about the hype surrounding Diablo, the great reviews it's getting, and obviously the hype surrounding the Xbox showcase. We know that Sony had an opportunity to knock one out of the park, and as far as I'm concerned, they hit one up the middle, but they didn't really get the third base on theirs. You know what I mean? Wasn't terrible, but certainly very predictable and underwhelming to say the least. And even a lot of the PlayStation diehards who normally defend PlayStation every turn, I did see a lot of them kind of go, "Man, what was Sony doing on this one?" So that speaks volumes, right? What's up, Mr. Webb Dave? Speaking of Webb Dave, he did a one-on-one with me a couple of months back. It was an awesome time. Still appreciate it to this day, Webb. That was a great show, and I really love talking games with you, man. It's good stuff. So, yeah, man, guys, what can I tell you? I am excited for tomorrow night. I think some of you are as well, and I hope I don't disappoint. Episode 1, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain. So, yes, I've moved it up a little bit. Now, I do believe, if memory serves correct, and I tried my best to be relatively reasonable when I picked the time slot. I wanted to move away from Tuesdays because, Tuesday's a really weird day in the week, too, because you're, like a lot of stuff when it happens on the weekend, you come in fresh on Monday, you got lots to talk about. Tuesday's kind of like in no man's land territory. Tuesday and Wednesday, in particular, because a lot of stuff either happens in the middle of the week or at the end of the week for the most part. So if you look at a lot of the information releases, and of course the Xbox showcase, the bulk of that will be done on the Sunday. So yeah, we come back in fresh on a Monday night and get to talk about all of these topics. So that's fantastic. So Monday night, like I said, I hate to tread on people's toes. I really do. I know what it feels like, and you're trying to build something. But we're at the point now where I think we all agree that there are so many different podcasters and so many different podcasts, you can't really worry about it anymore, like where you're going to sit and what time slot you're going to be. I think you got to just pick something that feels good to you, and hopefully the audience that really enjoys your content will come out and embrace it. So I might overlap with Colt Show a little bit, and I hate doing that because nothing but love and mad respect for Colt Eastwood, and certainly for my ex Gaming After Dark co-host in the Middle Age Game Guy. They're doing a phenomenal thing over there with the XNC podcast, and shout out to guys like Dealer Gaming. We go way back, me and Dealer and all of his team over there at RDX. Nothing but mad love and support for those guys. On the lighter side of things, shout out to Dirt Griggity, the We Bleed Green podcast. I know some of his panel, I think, don't think too much of me because of some of my hard stances on Xbox, but nothing but mad love and support for Griggity. He makes me laugh, and he gives as good as he gets. He certainly stands up for the Xbox brand and gives it back to some of the Sony ponies, so we say. Yeah, you've heard of Tuesday and Monday part 2. Yeah, it feels like that half the time. It's like a weird hangover kind of deal, right? Yeah, so Monday night, man. Let's just do it. Let's get it going. Ultimately, if the time slot fails me, I may have to reconsider. But there just really isn't a lot of great time slots, and me being primarily out here on the West Coast in Alberta, Canada, we're on Mountain Time, which so unless you're basically in Mountain Time or you're Pacific, the time is a little bit off for a lot of people. And we obviously know this is really tough for for our good friends across the pond over in the UK. They have a hard time catching up with my podcast, certainly live at least, but they catch them on the replay. And for the Eastern crowd, even at 9. But that's what I said. If I keep it to an hour and I can kind of stick to the format, I think that's good as well. Get everything you need to do without, and then if you look at the analytics, and I think if you even go into the popular channels, and I've certainly done analytics on mine as well, if you look at the majority of people watching these podcasts, whether it's live or on the replay, you'll see that a lot of people don't really stick around for a full 2.5 hour, 3 hour podcast. I mean, most of us have trouble getting through a 3 hour movie. So, how to help people do it for a 2.5 and 3 hour podcast is beyond me. I mean, sure, it's pretty easy to do. I mean, the time flies. We're all having fun at this, but sometimes, when you got those juicy topics and you got a big panel, Jared, sure, it's easy to burn away an hour and a half, 2 hours. But, on the average, most of us want to kind of get in, get out, get your information, get your takes, and have a few laughs while we're at it. And I think that's the thing I've always enjoyed about my podcast is I didn't want to be status quo. I didn't, I wanted to do it a little bit differently. I think for the most part I've succeeded. That's why, again, I have a different following for the Gaming After Dark kind of podcast as opposed to the Good Morning Xbox podcast that I was running for so long. But fantastic supporters on both sides, don't get me wrong. But, at the end of the day, I've had people that literally said to me, in a DM like, Noof, be yourself and do what makes you happy. And, and I feel like I said, that was kind of a niche that I carved. It's a tough niche. It makes it really tough sometimes to get guests on shows. Certainly established people don't really like to associate with a podcast that has some pretty staunch opinions at times, or, once you're kind of labeled a crowd one way or the other, you know what I mean? People label you as a pony, or they label you an Xbox guy or a Nintendo guy, or in some cases, they just label you a fraud. Look, I've got all the consoles. I've been playing them for years. I play on everything. It makes me a gamer. I don't know about anything else. Said from the beginning, I'm an Xbox guy. I prefer Xbox. Well, Noof, why are you so hard on Xbox? Why does it seem like you've got so much shitty stuff to say? Well, frankly, give me something great to talk about, and I'll happily preach it from the heavens, my man. Trust me. But like I said, and that's the thing. I've given Xbox lots of props. I've given them credit where credit is due 1,000,001 times. But nobody hears it when you say Xbox was amazing or they did this right. They only hear the part where you go, "Oh, Xbox missed the ball on this one." You're like, "Yeah, but you didn't hear the other 40 different bullet points I had saying how good Xbox was." You just hear that one thing and then think somehow I'm a Sony pony and I'm turned traitor and I'm like everybody else. Not like everybody else. But if you want to think it, go ahead. But I don't think anybody that's in this chat thinks that, because otherwise I don't think you'd even be here. Am I correct on that? Now, before I go and I wrap this up, we're about almost a half an hour in. Does anybody have any particular questions about the new show, and or any suggestions or what have you? I would love to know, or if you want to hear at least one impression before I go, before my voice gets, people hate nuance through nowadays. I got 2 Xboxes and people can't believe it because I'm critical of the brand, right? Great point. You have 2 Xboxes. You probably bought how many Xboxes? I have so many Xboxes. I've owned every single Xbox. I've owned multiple many times. Do I sound like a person who hates and can't stand the Xbox product when I've literally owned the Xbox One Fat? I have owned the Xbox Series S day one launch. I have owned the Xbox Scorpio Edition day one launch. I went out and got the Xbox One X Gears of War 5 Edition day one launch. I have owned the Series X day one launch. I have a Series S. You see my point? How can that be hate when you're spending thousands of dollars on a company? That sounds like somebody who loves the brand, not hates it. Because if you hate it, you'd never buy it at all. And that's a lot of the people that come on and jump into our chats half the time and give us so much shit. Oh, well, Xbox sucks. Well, have you ever owned an Xbox? Well, no. Or I haven't had one since it was like the original Xbox. Well, shut your pie hole. Your points are kind of fucking irrelevant. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're OG Xbox. The 360 alone, I think I've owned at least. I've had, I must say, at least 6 units because I had at least two that would red ring to death. And then I had every iteration of the Xbox. Like every time they revamped the 360, they came out with like the what was it, the Slim, and then they had the Super Slim or whatever the different variants of it. I had all those. Not to mention, I had several versions of those, including I had the green Halo. Was it the Halo 3 one, the green one with the gold lid? Like I had that unit. Awesome unit. I wish I never got rid of that one, to be honest with you. So like I basically had everything, and I've had everything multiple times. I've owned the headsets, I've owned the Elite controller, and I don't have near so much stuff as a lot of you guys in the chat. I haven't owned 5 and 6 Elite controllers, but I've certainly owned quite a few controllers. I have a controller from Design Labs, which I love. By the way, guys, in the chat, please let me know how the audio sounds. I forgot to ask this at the top. How does the audio sound? Is it good? Is it clear? Because I'm actually using the microphone that is installed with my Logitech webcam this time. So there's no headset or nothing on my head. And honestly, if this sounds good to you, I think I'd like to keep the setup. So very important before we go here. Let me know how this sounds. Do I sound like I'm a million miles away? Do I sound like a scuba diver in a frog tank? How does it sound? If it's clear, no echoey, just sounds good, no issues. Awesome. Sounds clear. Perfect. That is really that makes me that's awesome because that's part of the reason I wanted to do this test today because I was actually before I started live I was just testing some green screen stuff. I just wanted to make sure it was all working well and that it was in the right position. So yeah, so I think I've got most of it ironed out so that when we hit live tomorrow night, hopefully I can, do a show without very little hiccups. So that's the main thing. So I appreciate that. Will I be on camera during the new podcast? For the most part, I'd say no, but I won't rule it out from time to time. It's on a case by case scenario. Titan him, kind of the cat out of the bag. Um, like some people like to be on the camera, some people don't. I personally, I don't like being on the camera that much. But I don't know. I'd rather hear myself speak than look at myself speak. But and plus, when you're doing the voices and stuff, it kind of takes it out of what do you call it? It just takes you out of the frame, so to speak. If you when you're on the camera, especially when you're trying to do like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff like that. So yeah, but it's gonna be a good time, man. It's gonna be a good show. Um, Again, got that marked in your calendar. Hope you got your notifications set and your bells set for tomorrow night. It's going to be a good time. Looking forward to it. So, yeah, we'll definitely see you then. So, looking really, really forward to it. I hope you are too. I call it Gaming After Dark 2.0 for the most part. Definitely going to be, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. I think you guys will enjoy it. So, that's where we're going to be at tomorrow night. We'll speculate on the Xbox showcase coming up and all that good stuff. And for some of you guys that are in the chat, I am sure I will have you on the show as time goes on. But let's get the first few episodes in the banks and we'll go from there. So I won't take up any more of your time tonight. Save your questions for, the show is 9 p.m. Eastern. That is absolutely correct, Nix. So depending what time zone you're in, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So mark that down. Monday night, not Tuesday nights anymore, Monday night. So I think that kind of happens right in the middle or right at the tail end of XNC, if I am correct. So fabulous stuff. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to let you get back to enjoying your Sunday. I got to go and finish up a few little things and hopefully get some gaming in tonight before I go back and punch another 5 days at work. And we'll go from there. But you have all been amazing. Shout out to Your Wicked Hot, Nix, Dreadpool, Clement Aubert. We've got Joe Dunmore in here, Dragons TV, Web Dave came out tonight. We also had, I said Nix is here. I think I might have mentioned Jesse Darby was in the building tonight. Good to see Jesse here. Ice Queen Gaming as well. Jay the Destroyer, and many more. So thank you all so much for your support this far in. Hope to see you tomorrow night. And if you can't catch it live, that's okay. I would love to hear your feedback from the replay. And I'm really Can't wait to get feedback after episode 1 so we can figure out what you're liking, if you're digging the format, if you're digging everything, and then we go from there. So, yeah, it's going to be a good time. But anyway, everybody, have yourself a fantastic night and or day, evening, morning, wherever you might be. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Gaming Fuse right here with Boom Boom Kaboom Snoof Nukum. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and thanks for showing up.